What happens when a mother-in-law's treasured jewelry becomes the center of a family power struggle? She makes a decision no one saw coming, and what happened next left everyone stunned. Evelyn Carter sat at the head of the Sunday dinner table, her silver hair perfectly set, her favorite floral china gleaming under the soft dining room lights. She'd spent the afternoon preparing her famous pot roast, just as she'd done for decades, and the familiar scent mingled with warm laughter. Around her, her son Greg and his wife Jenna chatted about their latest home renovation while their two children, Max and Emily, played underfoot. But beneath the pleasant surface, Evelyn felt an edge to Jenna's cheerfulness, a searching, persistent quality in her daughter-in-law's gaze. Every time Evelyn refilled someone's glass or passed a serving bowl, she caught Jenna's eyes flicking toward her wrists, her ears, her throat, where the jewelry sparkled, the gold bracelet her late husband gave her on their 30th anniversary, the delicate sapphire earrings she wore every birthday, the diamond pendant she rarely took off. It wasn't the first time Evelyn had sensed Jenna's interest. For the past year, Jenna had asked casual questions about the family jewelry: who gave it to her, how much it was worth, who it was meant for, someday. Evelyn always gave polite, non-committal answers, but tonight Jenna pressed a little harder. You know, Mom, those pieces are just beautiful. Have you ever thought about passing them down? They'd look amazing with my new evening dress. Maybe for my birthday. Greg, as usual, avoided the subject, focusing instead on his son's latest soccer match. Evelyn felt a wave of discomfort but managed a gentle smile. These pieces all have stories, Jenna. I'm still enjoying them for now. After dinner, while Evelyn washed dishes in the kitchen, Jenna lingered nearby, drying plates and chatting about nothing. Eventually, Jenna's tone shifted, low and almost conspiratorial. You know, I've always admired your taste. And I just think, while you're still here to see it, wouldn't it be special to know your jewelry is being worn and loved? I mean, it just sits in the box most days, doesn't it? She hesitated, glancing over her shoulder. I'd really treasure it, you know. Not everyone would. Evelyn rinsed her hands, keeping her voice steady. I appreciate that, Jenna. But there's a time and place for everything. Later that evening, after everyone left, Evelyn sat in her quiet living room, her jewelry box on her lap. She ran her fingers over the velvet lining, each piece a chapter of her life. The gold locket from her mother, the pearl she wore on her wedding day, the antique brooch from her first trip to New York. Memories shimmered brighter than any gemstone. That night, sleep came fitfully. Evelyn dreamt of her late husband, Frank, reassuring her as he clasped the gold bracelet on her wrist. You decide when you're ready, he seemed to say. Don't let anyone rush you. Monday morning dawned brisk and clear. Evelyn made coffee and called her oldest friend, Louise, inviting her over for lunch. Over sandwiches, Evelyn shared her discomfort about Jenna's persistence. Louise nodded, her eyes sharp with concern. You have every right to decide what happens to your things, Evie. Don't let anyone push you. After lunch, Evelyn ran errands in town. At the jeweler's, she had a clasp repaired on the sapphire necklace and lingered over a display case of simple silver bands, nothing like her own collection, but lovely in their own right. She exchanged a few warm words with the owner, Mr. Gupta, who admired the craftsmanship of her pieces and offered to appraise anything she wished. Back home, she found a message from Jenna on her phone. Thanks again for dinner, Mom. I just keep thinking about that bracelet. Let me know if you ever want to part with it. Evelyn set the phone aside, her mind churning. She spent the evening sorting through old photographs and letters, the jewelry box always within arm's reach. Each piece was more than metal and stone, it was her story, her legacy. For the first time, she wondered what it would mean to take control of that legacy herself, on her own terms. As night settled, Evelyn wrote in her journal, My life isn't measured by what I own. I owe no explanations for what I choose to keep or give. I need to remember that. She slipped into bed, the moonlight glinting off her jewelry box, feeling the weight of decision and the stirrings of quiet resolve. The following week, Evelyn tried to push Jenna's remarks to the back of her mind. She threw herself into her routines, volunteering at the library on Tuesdays, shopping at the farmer's market on Thursdays, and coffee with Louise on Fridays. Still, the issue nagged at her. Each day, she found herself glancing at the jewelry box, wondering when the next conversation would come. It didn't take long. That Saturday, Greg and Jenna stopped by, children in tow, supposedly to help Evelyn clean out her garage. But while Greg tackled old garden tools and boxes of books with the kids, Jenna made her way inside. She offered to help Evelyn dust the china cabinet, then drifted to the hall closet, then, casually, to Evelyn's bedroom, where the jewelry box sat on the dresser. Jenna ran a finger along the lid, her tone light. "I know you have some beautiful things in here. My mother always gave her things away while she was alive, so she could see us enjoy them. Isn't that better than waiting?" Evelyn's patience began to fray. "Every family is different, Jenna. I'll decide when the time is right." Jenna changed tactics. "I just think it would be nice for Greg and me to know what you want us to have. You know, so there's no confusion later. Maybe we could just look together and you could tell me the stories." Evelyn closed the box with finality. "Not today, Jenna." By Sunday, Jenna's persistence became more overt. She texted photos of herself dressed up for dinner, adding, "Just missing that bracelet to complete the look," winky face, and followed up with questions about the value of certain stones, as if she were planning a sale herself. Evelyn ignored the texts, but her frustration grew. She met Louise at the park on Monday, venting her exhaustion. "I feel like a fox hunted for its fur. Why can't she see these are more than baubles?" Louise put a hand on her arm. "Because to some people, that's all they'll ever be. You know what matters. Don't let her wear you down." That afternoon, Evelyn called Mr. Gupta at the jewelry shop, asking if he'd recommend a safe place to store valuables. He suggested a safety deposit box at the bank. "You'd be surprised how many families have disagreements over jewelry, Mrs. Carter. Best to protect what you value." Evelyn took his advice, carefully packing her most cherished pieces, bracelet, necklace, rings, brooch, into a soft pouch and driving to the bank. The weight of the box in her purse was matched only by the weight in her chest. At the vault, she signed the papers and locked her treasures away, feeling both relief and a deep sadness. Back home, she found a note from Jenna slipped under the door. "Just wanted to say hi. Hope you're having a good day. If you ever need help sorting your jewelry, I'm just a call away." Evelyn tucked the note into her journal, unwilling to let it ruin her evening. That night, as she prepared for bed, Evelyn looked at the empty space on her dresser and felt a strange mix of loss and power. For the first time, she wondered if keeping the jewelry was worth the stress it caused. She wrote, "Things are only precious when they bring peace, not when they bring pressure. I'm tired of feeling watched in my own home." Sleep came slowly, but when it did, Evelyn dreamed not of jewels, but of clear skies and quiet freedom. The days that followed brought a relentless tension. Jenna's persistence was now a daily intrusion: text messages, phone calls, and even a few accidental pop-ins at odd hours. On Tuesday, as Evelyn returned from the library, she found Jenna waiting in her driveway, car idling. "I was just in the neighborhood," Jenna said, flashing a bright smile. "Wanted to check in and see if you'd thought more about the jewelry." Evelyn tried to keep her tone gentle but firm. "Jenna, I've told you, when I'm ready, I'll decide what to do. Please don't ask again." Jenna's smile faded into a tight line, but she nodded and left, leaving Evelyn with a pounding heart. That evening, Greg called, sounding weary. "Mom, Jenna's been upset lately. She says you've been cold to her. Is everything all right?" Evelyn hesitated, then decided honesty was best. "Greg, I love you both, but I feel pressured. The jewelry is important to me. I wish Jenna would let it be." Greg was quiet, then muttered, "I'll talk to her." He didn't call again that week. Evelyn tried to regain a sense of normalcy. She met Louise for coffee and filled her days with small joys: gardening, baking scones, visiting the farmer's market. But everywhere she went, she felt Jenna's gaze, even in her absence. The following Saturday, Evelyn attended her church's rummage sale. While sorting through a table of old books, she found herself confiding in Reverend Harris about her troubles. He listened patiently, then said, "Sometimes the things we treasure can become burdens, Evelyn. Only you know when to lay them down." Later that afternoon, Jenna sent another text, this time blunt and unapologetic. "I don't understand why you're being so stubborn. Family should share, not hoard." The message sent Evelyn's hands shaking with anger and hurt. That night, unable to sleep, Evelyn opened her journal and poured out her feelings. "This isn't about greed, it's about respect. My memories are not for sale. I don't want to feel hunted in my own home, or forced into choices that aren't my own." She closed the book, her resolve hardening. The next morning, Evelyn decided she needed space. She spent the day out of the house, taking a long drive into the countryside, wandering through a roadside antique shop, and eating lunch alone in a quiet cafe. The freedom to move without looking over her shoulder was a balm. She watched the sun set over rolling hills, feeling a clarity she hadn't known in months. When she returned home, she found another note from Jenna. "Sorry if I pushed too hard. I just care about family history." Evelyn read it twice, her heart aching, not just from Jenna's demands, but from Greg's absence, her own growing sense of isolation, and the fear that her world was shrinking under the weight of other people's expectations. But that night, as she tidied her kitchen and gazed at the spot where her jewelry box once sat, Evelyn began to see a different path opening in her mind. One where she could choose, finally, to put her peace above anyone's opinion. She wrote before bed, "No one can force me to give up what matters, except me. I am stronger than I feel." And for the first time in weeks, Evelyn slept soundly, her dreams filled with open roads and the scent of wildflowers on the wind. The next week began with a heavy sky and a sense of foreboding that seemed to seep into Evelyn's bones. She found herself triple-checking her doors and curtains each night, her routines unsettled by Jenna's hovering presence. On Wednesday, while watering her garden, she caught a glimpse of Jenna's car idling at the end of the street. Whether coincidence or not, Evelyn felt the last threads of privacy fraying. Determined to claim back her space, Evelyn took a walk downtown and ducked into the bank to check on her safety deposit box. She lingered there, alone in the cool, silent vault, letting her fingers trail over the velvet pouch that held her most precious pieces. The gems glinted even in the dim light, reminders of birthdays, anniversaries, travels, and losses. She felt a fierce urge to protect them, not just from Jenna, but from being reduced to currency. Returning home, she found her answering machine blinking with 2 messages. One from Louise, "Thinking of you. Let's do tea soon," and one from Greg. "Mom, Jenna's worried you're upset with her. She wants to talk things out. Maybe we could come over tomorrow night." Evelyn hesitated, then called Louise to ask if she could come by during the visit for a bit of backup. Louise agreed, sensing the gravity in Evelyn's voice. Thursday evening came with a chill in the air. Greg and Jenna arrived, bringing flowers and a cake, all surface-level sweetness. Louise joined them soon after, and her calming presence kept the conversation light, for a while. But as coffee was poured, Jenna couldn't resist. "Evelyn, can we please just talk about the jewelry? I feel like there's a wall between us, and I don't know what I did wrong. Isn't family supposed to share what matters most?" Evelyn tried to stay calm. "Jenna, my jewelry is important to me. It holds memories you can't see. I don't want to be pushed. When I'm ready, I'll decide what to do." Greg added, "We're just worried you're being taken advantage of, or that something will happen before you can decide." Evelyn bristled. "Nothing is happening except that I feel pressured in my own home. Please let me make my own choices." Jenna's eyes flashed with frustration. "I just don't understand why you can't trust us. You know how much I love those pieces. It almost feels like you don't care about us at all." The words hung in the air, heavy and cutting. Louise spoke up, her voice gentle but firm. "Sometimes, love means letting someone hold on to what matters, not taking it away." The evening ended on a strained note. Jenna left in a huff, and Greg gave Evelyn a quick hug, promising to call soon. Louise stayed behind, pouring another cup of tea for them both. "You did the right thing, Evie," she said. "You're allowed to have boundaries." That night, Evelyn lay awake for hours, replaying the conversation. Her heart ached, but in that ache was a sense of clarity. She could not live her life in a state of siege. If keeping her jewelry meant constant conflict and suspicion, maybe it was time to let it go on her terms. She opened her journal. "My home should be a place of peace, not negotiation. I won't let anyone turn my life into a battleground." Resolved, Evelyn turned off her light, feeling, for the first time, not just angry, but ready to act. Friday morning arrived crisp and bright, but Evelyn's mind was a storm of thoughts. The pressure from Greg and Jenna weighed on her, and the joy she once felt in her home was eroding. She stood at her window, watching the street for Jenna's car and wondering how long she could keep living under this cloud. Louise called, her tone soothing. "Come with me to the art fair in the next town," she suggested. "Let's clear your head for a day." Grateful for the escape, Evelyn agreed. She dressed in her favorite blue scarf, one of the few things Jenna hadn't commented on, and met Louise at the curb. The art fair was alive with color, music, and laughter. Evelyn lost herself among paintings and pottery, breathing in the freedom of being just another face in the crowd. Over coffee and cinnamon rolls, Louise listened as Evelyn confessed, "I can't take it anymore. I don't want to be suspicious or angry. I just want to live in peace." Louise squeezed her hand. "You have every right to choose peace, Evie. Sometimes, letting go is the bravest thing." After the fair, Evelyn stopped at the jewelry store to see Mr. Gupta. She asked him quietly, "Do you know any buyers who value pieces for their story, not just their price?" Mr. Gupta nodded, explaining he often matched heirlooms with collectors who appreciated their history. "If you ever decide, I'll help you. No pressure. Just let me know when you're ready." Back at home, Evelyn laid her jewelry out on the kitchen table for the first time in weeks. She inspected each piece, turning over the brooch from her honeymoon, running her finger along the pearls from her graduation, holding the locket that carried her parents' photo. With each touch, her resolve strengthened. That evening, Jenna called again, this time leaving a voicemail with a sharper edge. "Greg and I don't understand what's gotten into you. Are you planning to sell everything behind our backs? We just want what's fair." Evelyn felt her face flush with a mix of anger and heartbreak. The word fair echoed in her mind. Instead of answering, she called the bank first thing Saturday morning, arranging to retrieve her jewelry from the safety deposit box. She brought the pieces to Mr. Gupta's shop, heart pounding but step steady. "I'm ready to sell," she told him, "but only to someone who'll truly appreciate them." Mr. Gupta listened as Evelyn recounted the stories behind each item. He assured her the pieces would go to collectors who would value their history and beauty, not as trophies, but as treasures. Paperwork was signed, handshakes exchanged, and Evelyn left the shop lighter than she'd felt in years. That night, she celebrated with Louise over takeout and laughter, tears of relief sliding down her cheeks. "I did it, Lou. I took back my piece." Before bed, Evelyn wrote in her journal, "Today I chose myself. It hurt, but it healed too. My memories aren't gone, they're finally free." She fell asleep dreaming of open roads and bright tomorrows, her world wide open once again. Evelyn awoke Saturday morning with a sense of lightness she hadn't felt in years. Her bedroom, once shadowed by worry, seemed brighter. The jewelry box was gone, the velvet tray empty, but instead of sadness she felt relief. There was no more reason to look over her shoulder, no more lingering anxiety with every knock at the door. She made herself a special breakfast, thick toast, scrambled eggs, and her favorite jam, and opened the window to let in the fresh spring air. Her phone buzzed with a message from Louise. "How does it feel, being free?" "Let's go somewhere today." Evelyn replied with a smiley face and set about making a plan. But before she could leave, Greg called. His tone was sharp, almost accusatory. "Jenna saw Mr. Gupta's post about the jewelry. Did you really sell it all, Mom? Without telling us?" Evelyn braced herself. "Yes, Greg. I needed peace more than possessions. The pressure became too much." There was a long silence. "We just wanted what's best for the family," Greg said, his voice strained. Evelyn answered quietly, "What's best for me is peace. I can't live under constant watch, Greg. These pieces were mine to do with as I chose." Greg offered no reply. The call ended awkwardly, leaving Evelyn shaken but strangely proud. After a deep breath, she packed a picnic and met Louise at the lakeside park on the edge of town. They found a quiet spot under a willow tree and spread out sandwiches and lemonade. "Tell me everything," Louise said. Evelyn laughed, sharing the whole story, the relief of letting go, the tension with Greg, the empty box that finally felt like closure. Louise raised her glass. "To new beginnings. You're braver than you know, Evie." Later, as they walked along the shore, Evelyn watched the ducks and let herself imagine life beyond the daily battles. New places to see, books to read, friends to visit without fear. The weight of others' expectations had fallen away. For the first time in years, She considered what she wanted, not what was demanded of her. Returning home, Evelyn found an envelope in her mailbox. It was from Mr. Gupta, a handwritten thank-you note and a copy of the buyer's letter, expressing how much the jewelry stories meant. The words warmed her heart. She placed the letter on her dresser, a small token of closure. That evening, Evelyn sat in her living room, surrounded by books and photographs, feeling not loss but abundance. She called her niece across the country, reminiscing about childhood summers and laughing at old family tales. For the first time, Evelyn realized she could go anywhere, do anything. Her life was no longer held hostage by things. Before bed, she wrote in her journal, "Freedom is a kind of wealth, too. Today I am rich in peace." And as she fell asleep, Evelyn dreamed of the open road, with nothing and no one holding her back. Evelyn woke to a restless excitement buzzing in her veins. The morning sun poured through her curtains as if urging her forward. With the jewelry sold, the constant tension that had hovered for months vanished, leaving only possibility in its wake. She dressed carefully, choosing a bright scarf and her favorite walking shoes, and sat at her kitchen table with a pad of paper and a mug of tea. She began making a list: places she wanted to see, friends she wanted to visit, experiences she'd put off for years out of obligation or guilt. The world, she realized, was waiting. After breakfast, Evelyn called her niece, Kate, in Arizona. They chatted for an hour, laughing about family stories, recalling old adventures. Kate exclaimed, "Come visit. We'll take a road trip, see the Grand Canyon, eat real Southwest food." Evelyn's heart leaped. "I just might," she replied, surprising herself with her own certainty. She spent the afternoon sorting through closets and drawers, setting aside things she no longer needed. Each item released felt like another layer of the past falling away. She donated bags of clothes and old kitchenware to the local shelter, chatting with volunteers about travel dreams and good books. At the cafe, Louise met her for coffee. Evelyn shared her plan to leave town for a while, her voice trembling with excitement. "For so long, I've lived by other people's schedules and demands. I want to see what it feels like to live for myself." Louise grinned. "You've more than earned it, Evie. And when you're ready, I'll be right here." Later, Evelyn researched train tickets, rental cars, and scenic routes online. She caught herself humming as she prepared dinner, her spirit buoyed by the possibility of change. That evening, Greg called again, his tone softer, almost regretful. "Mom, I'm sorry we pushed you so much. Jenna, well, she doesn't always see things from other people's perspective. I hope you're okay." Evelyn listened, feeling the sting of old wounds, but also the comfort of an olive branch. "I'm more than okay, Greg. I wish you and Jenna all the best, but I need to live for me now." He paused, then said quietly, "I understand. Take care of yourself." Evelyn ended the call feeling lighter, as if a long-held breath had finally been released. Before bed, she opened her journal and wrote, "Every ending is a beginning. I'm ready to discover what's next." With that, she turned off the light, already dreaming of the road ahead, open, welcoming, and hers alone. Evelyn awoke before dawn, nerves tingling with anticipation. She brewed a strong cup of coffee and watched the sky lighten, then began her final round of packing. Into a single sturdy suitcase, she folded comfortable clothes, a notebook, and a handful of photographs, traveling light for the first time in decades. She left a note for Greg on the kitchen table. It was brief, but heartfelt. "I love you. I wish you and Jenna all the happiness in the world. But it's time for me to start a new chapter. Please don't worry. I am exactly where I need to be." As the sun rose, Louise arrived to drive her to the train station. The two friends hugged tightly on the platform, laughter and tears mingling. "You're the bravest person I know, Evie," Louise whispered. "Go find your joy. And send me postcards." Evelyn boarded the train, finding a window seat as the whistle blew. The town she'd called home for decades slipped past in a blur of early light and memory. There was sadness, but it was gentle, like a page turning rather than a door slamming shut. She spent the journey journaling, staring out at green fields and distant mountains, feeling a growing sense of possibility. In the cafe car, she struck up a conversation with another traveler, a retired teacher headed west to visit grandchildren. They swapped stories and phone numbers, and Evelyn realized how natural it felt to open herself to new connections. Her first stop was Kate's house in Arizona. The reunion was joyful and noisy, filled with hugs, laughter, and plans for desert adventures. Kate introduced Evelyn to her friends as my incredible aunt who just started a brand new life. They spent days exploring, hiking sunlit canyons, sampling local food, and staying up late sharing secrets under the stars. Evenings, Evelyn would sit on the porch with a cup of tea, marveling at the warm wind and the sense of lightness in her soul. The jewelry, the fights, the endless negotiations, they felt far away, reduced to memories rather than burdens. She called Louise often, describing her days in detail, promising to send photos and visit again soon. I feel like myself again, she told her friend. I never realized how much was possible until I let go. One night, under a sky blazing with stars, Evelyn opened her journal and wrote, I am not the things I left behind. I am the life I choose, the places I go, the people I love. I am free. As she set down her pen, Evelyn smiled, finally, at peace, and wonderfully, gloriously alive.